and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and I'm joined by Mr. Christopher Carnicelli.
Welcome.
And Robert Thomas Morphy the second.
Yes.
Thank you all so very much for joining us. Guess what, guys?
What?
Whoa.
We have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we do, actually.
Yeah.
We have for a while.
We have had one since the beginning, and I think last year I found out we had a YouTube channel.
Yes. We have had a YouTube channel
But
ever since episode 1.
have not had a video presence on it until very recently.
So very recently, we are there. We're doing some videos, so check that out at youtube.com/Cryptonaut podcast. That link is at our website, cryptonautpodcast.com, if you want to link to it from there. There's ways to get there if you don't want to type in the URL, or even better yet, go to YouTube and just search Cryptonaut.
Cryptonaut podcast, Cryptonaut, yeah.
We try to make it as easy as possible for people to find us.
Yes.
Indeed.
And there it is. So be sure to subscribe to that. Let us know what you think about what's happening over there. We're super stoked. And also, too, because we're doing videos over there, if you guys got things that you want us to react to, like videos or like images, or if you're like, oh, I want to hear the guys talk about this, shoot us an email.
Yep.
Cryptonautpodcast@gmail.com. And if we do one of your things, we'll give you a shout out. We'll be like, hey, this is sent to us from, so-and-so. Boom. There you go.
Absolutely.
Done deal.
There it is. So thank you all to everyone over there checking that out. Patreon, Robert. Speaking of thank yous, we're going to thank some good folks who support us every month over there at patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast.
Just the best site ever. Supporting artists, supporting fans.
We didn't just
who
complain
support artists.
about them at all with their ineptitude, but whatever.
Just
Fine.
whatever. That's not a point. The point is, thank you for doing this.
Yes.
And this week's specific thanks go to Zach Bales.
Thank you, Zach.
Clever.
Yeah, when we were going through these, you said Cleaver, and I'm like, I can't read.
No, it's clever.
Thank you.
Vanessa Beliveau.
Hell yeah, Vanessa. What up?
Regino Pizarro.
What up, Regino?
Back in Black. Sniff Snuff.
Oh, I like it. Sniff snuff.
Claire McDonald.
Oh, yeah, Claire.
Magda Luna.
What up, Magda?
Ooh, I like that. Jacob Tiger.
Hell yeah, Jacob, Mr. Tiger.
Liam Neville.
Liam, thank you much.
Richard Michael Lucas.
Thank you very much.
3 firsties.
We're there.
And Dag.
Hell yeah, and Eric.
Josh Kinzel.
What up, Josh?
Rock Wampus.
Nice.
That could be a Pokemon. I'm not sure.
I know, it's totally B-52s in my head.
Is it B-52s or is it a Pokemon?
I think it's both.
It really could be both.
Yeah, my first instinct was Rock Lobster, but yes, it should surely be drawn as a Pokemon.
I clearly had no idea about Pokemon until my son started collecting them, and I'm like, there's a lot of monsters here.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
there's hundreds.
Yeah, I was old man. I had no clue. I'm like, I don't know. There's like a Squirtle and like a Charizard.
You didn't know Squirtle?
You told me Squirtle. Yeah, you told me about Squirtle. I don't know Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah, besides Pikachu,
I'm going through all the cards, and they're actually pretty fucking cool. Like, they're pretty dope.
You can tell the older ones as compared to the newer ones.
Yeah.
Like, they've definitely sharpened up a bit.
They have.
Like, Squirtle's just like, turtle, but now there's like Zardawing, and it's like this sleek fucking thing or whatever. It's like,
there's one that I had the card at home. It looks just like the Flatwoods monster. It's super cool. Like it's wicked looking. But yeah, I had no idea about Pokemon, and now I live it with my son. So here I am trying to get VMAX cards and all kinds of stuff. Regardless, this week we're talking about the Carnivorous Cellar Creeper.
Indeed.
Oh man,
don't like it. Don't like cellars.
No.
Don't like creepers.
I mean,
you shouldn't.
We recorded in a basement. Well, it's not a cellar; it's a basement.
I'm okay with carnivores, but
Yeah, it's but it's got like faux hardwood floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
It's a semi-furnished.
Yeah.
Real legitimate.
I don't consider this a
No.
cellar. This is a den.
I mean,
this is a lower den.
Yes.
I mean,
you're right.
my studio, the basement in my house is technically, I guess, a lower den as
Yes.
well. Yeah. Okay, but I get what you're saying, though. Nasty, wet brick cellars, real dank shit.
No, the one that we all grew up with.
Yeah,
those
totally.
are fucking cellars or
You
basements.
really did. And when you went to a kid's house, they had a den. You're like, fuck that rich kid.
It's it's the basement in every horror game. That's the one we all had growing up.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, the stairs and the
Stone
moisture.
and
Octopus
dirt
furnace.
and all ghosts.
All Freddy Kruegers
in every corner.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, Freddy Krueger's. Nice.
10 Krugers.
Alrighty, let's get started with following a late night of hard partying. A teen snuck into his basement bedroom, turned his stereo on low, and began to drift off to sleep. Little suspecting that he was about to be roused by a bizarre bipedal being that can only be described as a walking nightmare.
Hell yeah.
Crap.
Creepy.
Hopefully he's not sleeping in the dank basement.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
He
have you
is.
guys ever had a bedroom in a basement? You have.
I mean,
Mark.
he has.
I have. I kind
yours
of
was
remember your
semi-furnished, too.
bedroom in a dank basement.
I've had a couple.
Yeah. And I was like, someone sleeps here?
No, yours was in a pretty dank basement.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like,
when I was
real bad.
when I was living with Becky, it
Yep.
was in a dank basement. When I was living with another buddy of mine, forever ago, back in the '90s, his family took me in, sweethearts as they were, Paul. And his family, that was also a super dank basement, but at least I had like outside entrance to come in. But yeah, no, sleeping in a dank basement means you are ever vigilant. Ever.
Yeah, dude, I lived amongst spiders for a while when I lived with my parents there in that new house, and it was cool. And then my dad built me a brand new room, spider free in '93, and
Hell yeah.
there you go.
Way to go, Pops.
There you go, silverfish ahoy.
Well, that's the
silverfish.
deal, yeah.
They're the
It
worst.
was awful.
Primeval fucks.
Ugh, gross.
Okay. Once again, we are digging into the vast archives of the late, great Brad Steger and his wife and collaborator, Sherry Hansen Steger. In a section titled Unknown Beings of Terror and the Dark Side,
That's awesome.
but unseen by most,
I know.
as you always have to say,
Flip to the negative.
of one of their many compilations of high strangeness, real encounters, different dimensions, and otherworldly beings, wherein we recently uncovered the heart of the deep, if you guys recall a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
The Stegers printed an account by their colleague, Reverend Robin S. Swope, who is better known in some circles as the paranormal pastor. Missionary, author, and seminary-trained exorcist, Reverend Swope was raised nominally Catholic, quote-unquote. I can understand that.
Sure.
And has spent nearly 30 years as a Christian minister in both mainline and evangelical denominations. And during that period has encountered numerous accounts that seem outside the traditional scope of both mainstream science and theology. This is one of those cases. Under the ominously titled The Thing on John's Bed, which just already...
Okay, well,
That can go a couple different ways.
The pastor related a chilling story that took place in the American Northeast sometime in the late 1970s and was confided to him by a childhood friend that he refers to only as Johnny. He begins the account in a fashion that is, perhaps appropriately considering his vocation, a bit preachy. Quote, As a late baby boomer, I experienced much of the 60s counterculture. Free love and free drugs were the motto of the times in which I grew from childhood to adolescence. I had many a friend who never made it to adulthood, and if they did, by the time of this writing, they are more than likely consigned to the care of a nursing home or an adult care facility. Observing the negative effects and the inevitable consequences suffered by many of those who abandoned themselves to the age of Aquarius served as a warning for me. He added, Johnny was a friend of mine who loved getting high.
Oh, is that like a lyric?
Oh,
Johnny
right.
was a friend of mine who loved getting high.
Yeah, that's a Joplin
totally a
lyric.
lyric.
Totally.
Free love and free sex, and then you're dying in an adult care home.
Wow,
Yeah.
almost rhymed. You were there.
I can't do rhymes, you know that.
According to Swope's account, Johnny, whose age was registered only as young teen, so I guess 15, let's guess, who knows,
Cool.
had made his way home after a long evening of partying. As he had work early in the morning, perhaps indicating that this took place during the summer months, because otherwise you'd think a young teen would be at school, all Johnny could think of was sneaking in without rousing his parents, crawling into bed, nuzzling his cat, and listening to relaxing music until he fell asleep. It seems likely that the only things the teen dreaded were the inevitable buzz of the alarm clock and the looming threat of a massive hangover. There is no way he could have possibly imagined just how bad this night was to become. Just as he was about to drift off into the thick miasma of a drunken, stoned slumber, Johnny was suddenly startled back to consciousness by a crashing sound that came from across the darkened room. Ripped from his half-slumber, Johnny popped up and flicked on his bedside lamp just in time to see something small scurry from the open bathroom door and across the bare cement floor before ducking behind a pile of dirty laundry to the left of his bed. And you got to know this is a teenage shit show room. Clothes everywhere.
Yeah,
a
it's-
bong
yeah.
hidden in the fucking sock drawer. Fucking who knows what's going on. So, the creature was tiny, dark, and most disturbingly to the shocked teen, clearly bipedal.
Oh, it's a raccoon that knows the laws of man.
The laws of man.
Yeah.
Kamikaze squirrelman.
Nice.
The thing, whatever it was so incredibly fast, covering the 4-foot distance from the bathroom to the mound of discarded clothes in just a split second, that he registered that it was much faster than his cat. Johnny tried to process what he had seen. Was it a squirrel? Speaking of squirrels, an escaped pet monkey. What bothered him most was the unshakable feeling that what he had seen resembled a, quote, miniature human scuttling across the floor. It did not slump its back as it ran from the restroom to the pile of clothes in the corner. No, it looked like a husky little man in the dark as it passed into the pile of soiled apparel.
Is this another gnome?
Husky little gnome
Little
man.
gnome sighting?
When you gotta describe it as husky.
Oh, yeah.
You're like he's.
Oh, that was definitely a clothing size when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's
And
bad. That's
No, same.
post-traumatic stress for
Yeah,
me.
totally.
same
Me
here,
too.
like,
I
Mark-
was husky as fuck.
Mark, you better get them husky pants on. I'm like, but they don't feel good. I don't want to feel. I feel bad in my husky pants.
What about those regular sized Levi's, Ma? No. Go to the rustlers.
That was it.
And the husky. While she's yelling across the fucking.
Of course.
Chris, get on your husky pants.
Don't look at the Nikes either.
Yeah, we're going to Pickway.
Look at the Pro Wings.
I love that Chris is being
damn it.
raised by JFK's ghost, too.
We're getting Voits. Here you go.
Oh, God.
Yeah, remember Voits?
No.
Oh, they were awful shoes. And it was like, we had to get them because they're like, we ain't got no money. Enjoy your fucking Pickway Voits.
Oh,
Like,
boy.
Sweet.
Oh, no, we got the Pro Wings.
John Voight.
Oh, you got Pro Wings?
Yeah.
Oh, man, not me, dude.
Those weren't fancy. Those were still Pickway shoes.
Were they?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
They most assuredly were.
Like,
Husky.
yeah. It's like, where's the day-old shoe rack at Pickway?
Day old.
Out of season.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Johnny knew, getting back to the story, that despite his overindulgence, the thing wasn't his cat. He also knew that what he'd seen skittering across his floor was real and not a figment of his substance-addled imagination. But the longer it remained hidden, the more frightened he became, according to Swope. Quote, panicked, Johnny was unsure as what to do next. He decided to stay in the safety of his bed, and he pulled the covers up a bit to hide in the safe and warm, self-made cocoon. As he sat there looking into the dark recesses of the basement for any sign of movement near the laundry pile, he was sure he saw something in the back of the room. It darted to and fro as if it were trapped in the semi-darkness of the room. It appeared to stay in the safety of the shadows, so it could not be fully seen by the young teen in his bed. However, its frantic movement betrayed Johnny's observation that it was clearly seeking escape. Soon the movement abruptly stopped. End quote.
No, it's cornered.
It's cornered. You don't want to corner this thing. You don't want to corner anything. You don't want to corner this thing.
It's a goddamn dog cornered.
It would be at this point that the situation went from merely disturbing to outright alarming, as the tiny terror, clearly unable to find an exit, decided that its only recourse was to confront the massive creature lying before it, a.k.a. Johnny.
Dude, is this a fight or fuck scenario?
Let's hope not.
Boy, it's getting bad.
Johnny could only watch in growing horror as the still silhouetted figure slowly approached. Within seconds, the shadowy humanoid was obscured by the end of his mattress. Quote, Johnny did not know whether to feel relief or panic. Had it retreated to his worst nightmare to plague him no more, or was it lurking under his bed, waiting for him to come out from under the covers so that it might do diabolical deeds upon his soft pink flesh? End quote.
Oh, that's a terrible.
For the
I hate
record,
that quote.
That's Pastor Swope. That
That's
is
an
not me.
Awful.
No, that's
I would
fucking
never,
Pinhead.
I would never. Yeah, that is Pinhead.
We have such fucking
Yes,
horror to show you.
Upon his soft pink flesh.
No
fucking
suffering.
creep.
This sentence will be legendary even in hell.
Yes, no tears. It's a waste of good suffering. And you're like, fuck you. I'm getting my husky pants and leaving your dumb box.
My pink flesh is getting out of here.
You bald pinheaded dick.
You can take your stupid lament configuration and shove it up your taint.
So, wait a minute. Is this Stone Cold Steve Austin?
that totally was
Stone Cold versus fucking Pinhead. Oh my god.
Listen, stupid little pins off your head.
Listen here, Chatterbeast, you son of a bitch. But if we bitch out the airlock in the movie that nobody likes but Mark. Yeah, I said it. I like that movie.
I know you do.
Pinhead in Space.
Do you like the one in the dance club? Part 3? Anthony Hickok shot in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, with the CD head.
CD head.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but honestly, 4 wasn't any worse than 3.
No,
to
4
be
wasn't
honest.
really any worse than
I
3.
thought it was going to be like, really, space? But like there's like a backstory.
Yeah, you got
I was
the
surprised.
story.
I thought it would just be like lasers and
Yeah, I get
coming
it.
out of pins and fucking head. Like,
Honestly, it's just
honestly,
one
I
and
would have
two
loved
for
it.
me.
If Roger Corman made it, I would have been in.
Yeah, I mean,
Hell
you know,
yeah.
you get the whole backstory of Pinhead, and it's cool.
All right, let's get back to this moment. We're back in the moment with Johnny.
Here we go.
In the basement bedroom.
Soft pink Johnny Flesh.
Silhouette's coming toward him. Disappears.
Here we go.
He doesn't see it. Is it a dream? Is it real? Is it Memorex? We don't know. As any child knows, the only horror that can eclipse the fear of the inevitable is the unbearable wait before it strikes. Rigid and terrified, quote, the seconds seemed to span an eternity as Johnny waited for a movement from above the bed or under it. Then, as the horror of the reality that was about to befall him permeated his mind, he felt a tug on the comforter that he had so desperately pulled tight to his body, and a single lone hand of impish size came over the edge of the bed. It was soon followed by an equally unwelcome twin. The comforter was pulled down from Johnny's clutching hands as the weight of the thing bore down on its edges. End
Oh,
quote.
my God.
Yeah.
It's just like
It's
this.
like every childhood nightmare. Yeah, no, it's a silhouette. It's like struggling. You see something scuttle. Okay, it's behind the laundry pile. All right, did I see it? Whatever. And he's fucked up a little. He's still, obviously probably in a little bit of a drunken stupor and God knows what else.
Yeah, it's not going to help things.
And all of a sudden you just see it running back and forth like trying to find a way out. And it can't. And then the shadow looms closer and closer.
And it just
Then
climbs
right
on
when
your
it's at
bed.
the edge of the bed, it disappears. And you're like, all right, what the fuck's going to happen? Is it under the bed waiting for my pink flash? Or is it fucking doing whatever it's doing?
No, the slow
And then
reveal.
suddenly one hand. And then the other hand.
It's
And
the
then the
slow
tautening of the
reveal.
It's
comforter.
fucking Chucky. This is like
yeah.
child's play.
Yeah.
Or don't be afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
Or the gate. So many things.
Oh, man. All right. Well, what happens next, Robert, with the pink soft flesh of...
You guys got to stop saying it. I
know.
hate it so fucking
No,
much.
I hated it too.
I
I
really
included
hate
it, but even as I read it,
No, I'm glad you did.
Reverend
'cause
Swope,
it's awful,
God damn it.
and I'm going to expose him for a fucking creep he is.
all right.
So mad.
Within seconds, the terrible inevitable had come to pass as the dark, diminutive, oily-skinned entity pulled itself up the sheet at the base of the bed. In the dim illumination of the bedside lamp, Johnny could see the thing's twisted, tiny face haloed by a copse of dark, greasy hair. But it would be its glistening features that struck the deepest chord.
This thing is fucking awful.
It's the oily maniac?
Not quite that.
The son
oily-
of the oily
Yeah,
maniac.
Totally. Meets, well, a reference we'll make soon.
Oh, okay.
According to Swope, quote, it almost looked human. If a human face could have been forged in the depths of hell by a creator who had no pattern with which to form it. The thing had the basics of twin eyes and ears, but they were both disproportionate and at odd angles.
Okay, sloth.
The mouth twisted in a grotesque grin and opened to reveal teeth that made no sense for the small confines from which they emerged, end quote.
Again, sloth.
This is very judgy. This thing is clearly has some sort of problems.
Yeah.
Non-Euclidean face.
Aristotle would not be pleased.
Yeah, like the eyes and the fucking the eyes, nose, and ears make no sense. It just fucking what? Oh,
Yeah,
man,
barking all over the place.
This thing is a greasy, oily little ugly fuck.
Picasso
with
face.
Bad teeth. All right, cool.
The moment this malevolently grinning monstrosity reared itself up to its full, small but still intimidating height, Johnny knew without a shred of doubt that this asymmetrical atrocity meant to harm him. It was as if he were looking at a grotesque mini-golem forged not of clay but of hunks of flesh culled from toddlers and small mammals. Johnny had no way of knowing if what he was looking at was an impossibly small deformed human, a mutation of Mother Nature, or something from the depths of hell. But he did know, the moment he felt the grimy goblin's tiny clawed feet dig into his exposed abdomen, that he would have to act fast.
Oh, dude, it's
Okay,
fucking
so claw.
on, dude.
What the fuck? I'm not in.
I mean,
out.
weaponry. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there, but weaponry. Look for it.
And here's where I come in with my very obvious pop culture analogy. Then, in a scene that could have been taken directly from the Amelia segment of Richard Matheson's legendary 1975 made-for-horror TV flick Trilogy of Terror, wherein a small carved Zuni fetish doll with white eyes and razor-sharp teeth relentlessly attacks a woman in her apartment, Johnny made his move. In a flash, the teenager pushed the aggressive anthropoid off of his stomach, ripped the comforter over its head, and twisted the blanket so that the tiny, toothy terror was trapped inside. Johnny then leapt out of bed, hefted the struggling bundle of bedding over his shoulder, and in a blind panic began beating the makeshift sack against the cement floor as hard as he could.
Oh, that's a Voorhees maneuver.
Yes, it is a Voorhees maneuver where you take the fucking sleeping bag and beat the piss out of the
Voorhees
girl in it.
maneuver.
Oh, man.
Or the inside-out bear from Prophecy, the little
Yeah.
kid in the sleeping bag, and all you see is like a fucking explosion of feathers and blood.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Voorhees killed teen girls in a sleeping bag. I remember it in Jason X because it ended up being a hologram. But I'm pretty sure he did it before in a couple different movies where he just takes the bag, drags out, and just beats the fucking balls off of him against a tree. And that's terrifying. I like this kid's maneuver, though.
Yeah.
This is the way to go.
Yeah, he might be high. He might be fucking...
His drunk ass is fucked up a
fucked
doll.
up. That Cabbage Patch Kid
Yeah,
is going to
Is
fucking
no more.
stalk
Christ,
no
or
one.
God forbid one of his animals. Christ almighty. This could go south. All right, anyway.
Oh, see, now you just ruined all the fun.
No, we don't know. I mean, I'm sure his cat's fine. Or not.
Reverend
Or
Swope.
dog.
Well, he has a cat. He was going to nuzzle his cat.
Yeah.
Maybe dog broke in.
or
That's
was
why
it? Could be
he
a
was
dog.
not familiar.
Or
Could
was
be
he?
a raccoon.
And weird.
He just beats the piss out of her.
It could be.
Who knows?
It could be a squirrel.
Oh,
Some other kind of rodent.
There it is. Nailed it.
I want to join in, but I can't because I'm dumb.
No, you're
No,
not.
you just say the word wrong. You do it all the time.
Opossum.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, I
you
did
brought
it.
the French element.
I'm a friends. An opossum.
I'm a friend.
What the hell does
Are
that
you
even
fucking
mean?
drunk? Am I going to get scooped in the
I'm
blanket?
the one drinking straight vodka. What the fuck is that?
It's me, Mark. We are friends.
Markio.
Oh.
All right.
Holy shit.
She's we were in a moment of pure horror. And now the rodents have ruined everything.
The rodent.
Poisson.
Okay.
Okay. The Reverend Swope would write about the incident, quote, "After a few minutes of ceaseless pounding on the floor, Johnny caved into the fatigue of his overworked muscles and let go of the wadded-up comforter. Breathing heavily, he fell on the bedside and examined the balled-up mass before him. The twisted comforter containing the creature did not move. It was a motionless wad of fabric on the cold cement floor. Warily, he prodded it with his extended foot." Jesus Christ, you can see it. It's like a scene out of a movie.
But yeah, this whole thing is.
The kid just reaching, touching it with his big toe,
Yep.
pulling it back. But there was no movement that he could see, end quote. In a moment that will have longtime Fright Flick fans screaming in rage, Johnny decided that he had to unravel the bundle to make sure that the misanthropic mutant was actually dead. That son of a bitch. Has he watched nothing? I know it's the late 70s. I know he doesn't have as many films to cull from, but still.
This is when
At least go outside or something.
Yeah.
Just do it right
Yeah.
fucking
Drag it
there.
out or get a weapon so that when you open it up, you can machete the fuck out of it or pitchfork it to the dills
just
or
hold a gun to its head.
Louisville Slugger, whatever. Or
Yeah.
if your dad has some guns, or you have
Hold a
guns.
gun to its head.
Get a flashlight. Interrogate it.
Tie its little hands behind its back. Make it get on its knees.
Kick its balls. If it has balls.
Back to Swope's accounting, quote, "With apprehension and a dread that he had never before experienced in his short life, the team began to unwind the fabric of the comforter to find," dramatic pause, "absolutely nothing."
Of course.
Oh, did it escape though?
Let's find out.
Is it lying in wait?
These are all questions that
They
you
probably won't be
can
answered.
legitimately have. "The comforter was empty," the quote continues. "He was certain, as he had repeatedly hurled it against the floor, that the comforter had contained some considerable mass, but there was simply nothing there. He breathed a heavy sigh, and in an unspoken oath, he vowed never to mix again the concoction that he had ingested that night. if he could remember what it was, end quote. Again, a little preachy, Pastor Swope,
Yeah,
but okay.
this guy's getting a little. I don't do drugs like you, there,
And
Johnny.
he'll explain that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little definitely. A little.
Impossible as it may seem, and perhaps due to a post-adrenaline crash and the after effects of his hard partying, Johnny decided that his best option was to crawl back into bed and sleep it off. At first, every time he closed his eyes, he could see the patchwork predator climbing back onto his bed, but eventually sleep began to reclaim him. Perhaps he tried to rationalize the whole ordeal had been nothing more than a vivid hallucination after all. That would turn out to be wishful thinking, as the next day would prove to him, beyond a doubt, that though the thing he had encountered was nightmarish, it was no dream. The next morning, Johnny managed to pull himself out of bed in time for work and, quote, with heavy limbs, he forced himself into the bathroom to take his shower and to make himself somewhat presentable for the day of work that lay before him, end quote. It's likely that as he walked by the tousled bundle of fabric that was his comforter, he shook his head in disbelief at the intensity of his semi-waking nightmare. If his mind had afforded him this skepticism at first, it would be a comfort that was short-lived. According to Swope, quote, as Johnny stepped into the shower, he slipped and fell, hitting his head against the thin plexiglass of the cheap basement shower in his room. The shower floor was slick from an oily residue. And as he regained his balance, he saw the thick red ochre of drying blood that covered the floor.
It's alive.
End quote.
Or dead.
It would be then that the magnitude of the horror he had almost endured at the hands of the bucolic beast we've dubbed the carnivorous cellar creeper became all too clear. As Johnny, quote, strained his head in horror, he saw his gutted and disemboweled cat lying at the head of the shower.
Oh, shit!
With half of its internal organs missing and its body torn apart as if from some savage attack of a primordial creature from the blackness of hell.
Oh, I wasn't expecting
This is all Swope's
I
hyperbole.
was not expecting that. Wow, it killed the fucking cat.
Continuing the quote, his beloved pet had fallen victim to the same creature that had climbed up his bed that very night to assault him. End quote. The Reverend Swope summed up the case thus, quote, if it were not for the grisly slaying of his cat, Johnny's experience could be easily dismissed as a psychotic delusion caused by the overindulgence of various mind-altering drugs. But something tore that poor creature apart that night and made off with various organs. Was it Johnny himself in a panic-induced, drug-induced rage? Or is the creature he had seen in his altered state, or was it, the creature he had seen in his altered state of consciousness, end quote. So, I mean, that's the big question.
Yes.
Did fucking dude, I don't know, batter his fucking cat, partially eat it and dump it in his fucking shower?
I mean, I made that illusion earlier, not thinking it was going to go that way, but
there are things that make me think that that's not the case, even though that is obviously the Occam's razor of the situation in a lot of ways. And one is that there's no evidence of blood or anything. Like, he didn't open up the comforter.
No, right.
And see a bloody mess of hair and mayhem that he thought was the creature, but the creature was gone.
Yeah, or on anything on himself.
Yes.
Right? Like, I mean, you think it would be fucking everywhere if it was torn apart like they say it was. So.
Right.
yeah.
Totally. So,
Okay.
you know, so that's one thing to think about. And it also does remind me again, and I know we've talked about this many times, but of course, the Stephen King vehicle in the mid-'80s when anthologies were all the rage, like Nightmares, and of course everything post Creepshow, and that is Cat's Eye, where it was like Quitters Incorporated, The Ledge, I think, and then the last part, the best part, was with Drew Barrymore and a little fucking goblin-like thing dressed in a jester's outfit that tried to kill her, steal her breath, and the cat protected her. Mm-hmm. But in this case, this thing is fucking a lot more fucked up, not as fashionable, and apparently the cat couldn't really stand. But here's where we're going to get into, I suppose, why he's called the paranormal pastor, and that he's more open-minded and he doesn't just jump to the demon.
Okay.
Though that's certainly one of the options on the table.
Cool.
Okay. By way of explaining his caution regarding substance abuse in general and psychoactive drugs in particular, Swope had this to say about how indulging in such chemical cocktails may influence one's perspective on the paranormal world. Quote, People who dabble in various mind-altering substances perceive things that people in normal states of consciousness have no perception of. The use of pharmaceuticals to attain spiritual epiphanies can be traced to ancient shamanistic practices by numerous worldwide cultures. Experiential knowledge achieved by these individuals would tend to suggest that the use of psychoactive drugs may tend to open the perception of those participating in cultic drug rituals to attain an altered state of consciousness that cannot be perceived by the most ordinary beings. It is a supplement to the God-ordained spiritual gift of discernment of spirits that can often attract beings of a malicious nature. So, I mean, I'm sure everyone understands that.
Yeah.
But, the paraphrase is saying that, cultures from a time immemorial have used drugs to open up their awareness of these alternate entities and alternate planes of existence. But that if you don't use what he calls the God-ordained spiritual gift of discernment of spirits, you are beckoning beings of a malicious nature, which I think is a sort of a pre destined position of Christians anyway.
Do you need like a shaman to like guide you, or is it like someone to
certainly it helps, but I don't think that's what he's suggesting. I don't think he's suggesting that using what I suppose, and I don't know, I can't speak for Reverend Swope, but what most Christian pastors would assume to be paganistic rituals for spiritual enlightenment is not the route that you should take, whether or not you're being guided by a shaman, a guru, a baba, whatever.
Gotcha. I thought they were like, yeah, no, if you're going to do this shit, make sure you got a good Christian shaman on your side. Give you a hand.
I mean, he's saying it's a supplement to the
but he's saying, yes, he's basically just saying,
discernment of spirits.
The psychoactive drugs, to quote, may tend to open the perception of those participating in cultic drug rituals to attain an altered state of consciousness that cannot be perceived by most ordinary beings.
Right.
So that's all he's saying with this.
All right,
So
cool.
he continues.
I like it.
Some shamans, many we may encounter in modern society, are gifted by God to perceive a different world around them. They can actually see entities and judge their purpose and nature. In Aboriginal societies, such persons who had the gift to sense when oppressive forces were at work also had the power to overcome them. Their role was that of a healer, guide, and spiritual leader for the group. So he's speaking pretty highly of these people.
Okay, cool.
But many such roles were hereditary. While many shamans did not rely upon pharmaceutical enhancements of their gifts, many of their offspring, who were not as spiritually gifted, tended to rely upon artificial means to enhance their abilities. So the kid doesn't have his dad's fucking strength. He's a pro athlete. He uses steroids to try to fucking...
the old spiritual steroid.
But an abominable... Such an abominable practice tends to draw the darkness. In brief, that is why the Bible classifies witchcraft and sorcery as, through the words, pharmakia and pharmakias, drugs provide an unnatural way to attain spiritual enlightenment that can often lead to spiritual oppression. In altered states of consciousness, one can often perceive beings that dwell in the twilight of reality, and some of these twilight beings can cling onto a person for a lifetime, draining their soul and ruining their life, end quote. So, obviously it goes from suggesting that, yes, use of these drugs can definitely open you up to perceiving creatures that are very real and a part maybe not of the natural world as we know it, but a natural world as we don't know it. But there has to be that back end, especially. And again, I'm not trying to prejudge this guy. He seems open-minded, seems to have like a decent ministry.
Well, at least he's trying to work it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's
like in some way,
I
I guess, and not being like, well, it's clearly Satan.
Yeah.
And it's not as dark a bias as like the one that, say, led to the Inquisition or many other nefarious shit, oppressive shit.
No, I'm not surprised.
That Christianity is,
I'm not surprised at this angle at all. Like
imposed on people, but yeah.
No, this guy seems like a pretty straight shooter, though. He's like, here's some information, do with it what you will, and be careful when you trip balls. You don't want to get a wraith.
This kind of makes sense.
Don't take wraith pills.
Definitely don't take wraith pills. Where his, and all my buddies that fell into the age of Aquarius. It was a dark time. It was a high time. People were fucking getting high. Those guys are dead or in a fucking the old touchers.
A lot of
home.
witchcraft.
The old toucher's home.
A lot of beings that weren't good. A lot of manufactured spiritualisms.
There's so many dicks and titties. It was just as far as the eye could see. I couldn't imagine. We all rode bongs. I am a bong. Now I'm in an adult care facility.
So,
Wow.
Swope maintained a relationship with his old friend who, terrifyingly, claimed that his all-too-close encounter would not be the last he had with the feline-feasting abomination. Quote, on occasion, Johnny is afraid of the dark. He fears the flashbacks during which he will once again see the little dark man that scurried across the floor. He fears seeing the being that disemboweled and partially ate his cat in the bathtub. He has seen it 3 times since, but only that one time long ago did it attack anything dear to him or cause him any harm. Even clean and sober, he feels helpless against the dark forces that he unwittingly unleashed that night long ago in the late 1970s, end quote. So what I find interesting about that is the key word flashbacks. Was he dosed? And if he was dosed, I mean, again, psychotropic drugs can certainly give you all sorts of shit. I mean, if it's acid, Criminy knows, and we've talked before of a buddy of ours that encountered a demon there that he thought was a real demon. He kind of believes the acid gave him access to rather than created by virtue of him tripping his balls out.
Maybe.
Or
flashback
is
it's hard to really.
You're right. Because the flashback could also be of a post-traumatic stress variety.
Right.
I wouldn't call, because I had a medical thing happen, and it was not at the time traumatic, but it kind of just all of a sudden hit.
Yeah.
So anytime, there's a certain way I feel, I immediately, slink into it.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I don't know if I'd call that a flashback, but it kind of is. But it's auto, it brings me there.
Right.
Sure.
I was there
And the term
time.
flashback, I don't think, is limited exclusively
to the visual and the
or to fucking drugs,
Right.
To acid and shrooms and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you can still have a flashback moment, like a scent or, like you say, a feeling.
No, 100%.
A trauma that is somehow
Dude,
reignited, brings you back to a moment having nothing to do with drug use.
This entire month is one giant fucking trigger for me because it's everyone's getting ready to go back to school. And I was talking to my wife about it. I'm like, every fucking August, I get the same pit in my stomach. I graduated in 1999.
Right.
I'm not going back to school, but I still feel like I am. It's that traumatic for some reason. I don't know what happened.
terrible.
No, I get
to
it.
me, I don't know. I mean, I was dumb in school, clearly.
I
don't know what
hope
I did.
you get over
Things
it.
just happen.
I'm 42. I'm going to be 42 years old, and I'm still I don't want to go to school. I'm not going to school, man.
I understand.
I get it.
The first day of school, I'll be super anxious and depressed and fucked up. And when I see the school bus, I'm just all weird.
I definitely do.
I got problems,
but I mean, of course we all do, and that's the beauty of us. But also, you have children that you love that you're identifying with, and feeling empathetically with. So
they were comforting me. They're like, "Dad, we love school. School's awesome.
Yeah.
Our teachers are. I'm going to go see
Things
Miss
are different.
Mondo. She's super cool. They're like, we love school. School's amazing. I can't wait to start." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand."
What a great name.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
So,
but Miss Mondo's cool as
But
fuck.
the point is, Miss Mondo's side,
She's dope.
that the word flashback is heavily baited, but fucking doesn't mean it has anything to do with that.
For sure.
We really don't know what drugs he did. He might have really just gotten really high and drunk, which is something I think we've all been. So
drunk and high enough, you're not going to hallucinate. But if you're in that weird partial sleep state where you're just your body's slowly dying.
Yeah.
Where it's alcohol poisoning.
You're
just kind of slipping away.
I've been in the swirls and the mayhems and the fucking in and out fever sleep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sucks.
All right, let's just wrap this up and then we'll start getting into ideas. In conclusion, Swope writes, quote, was it all a drug-induced illusion? Perhaps. Or did Johnny really see a dark creature from beyond our realm of the senses that lurks in dark places which we cannot perceive? I dare not guess. Now, well into his 40s, with a lifetime of experiences behind him, nothing Johnny has ever experienced has been so real and surreal at the same time. All he knows is that the cat was dead and the horror from beyond the pit of hell that he saw in that abysmally dark basement years ago was real. To him, that is enough.
Oh, man, the
Yeah.
Carnivorous
it
Cellar.
is usually for people that go through a thing like that. Like
Oh,
all of
yeah.
a sudden, it's real now. Whatever it was,
No,
even if they don't know what it was.
Trauma's real, it's real.
Yeah.
It
no,
doesn't
for sure.
matter if it actually happened or if it's something else or if you're, I know I'm misusing the word, but transubstantiating like a fucking, like a really terrible visceral incident and making it an alien abduction in your mind.
Right.
It's still traumatic regardless of what its genuine origin is, or vice versa for that
Yeah,
matter.
I mean, literally finding his cat torn the fuck apart.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to
And-
leave a
and
huge mark.
Seeing it like just slowly
Yeah.
approach in the dark and then crawling on his belly, digging into the flesh of his stomach a little bit, and him having to
I wonder if-
just beat it to death in his own mind anyway. And then it's gone. Then he wakes up and he's fucked up and he's probably having a come to Jesus moment. He's like, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to fucking get my
Yeah,
shit together.
I'm going to get a better job.
I'm gonna get my GED or fucking whatever
Stop
it is he's
listening to
gonna
Black
do.
Sabbath.
Everything's gonna come correct, fucking. And then he gets into the shower and fucking slips, bangs his head, turns around, is like, what the fuck?
That's the cinematic moment where you're like, I went too far.
Yeah.
I went way too far.
So now we have to fucking, because obviously this has two very loaded sides. One is the fact that he was clearly not sober.
Right.
Though I've gone to bed high and drunk plenty of times and not hallucinated, like ever, in my opinion.
I guess it depends on what
Though
he
we
was
don't
on.
know what he was
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah.
that part's loaded. And the second part is, if what he experienced was genuine,
Right.
what the fuck are we dealing with here?
All right. So drug use. Yes, he and God forbid, I know there's no traces of it like in the blanket or whatever. But if it was drug use, he did hallucinate, and God forbid he killed his cat.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's awful. That
Yes.
sucks.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
That's really the fucking worst case scenario.
All right, so absolute worst case, but completely, well, pedestrian's the last word.
I mean,
plausible.
it could happen.
Is he's just strung out. Who knows if it's coke? Who knows if it's acid? Who knows if weed and fucking booze, whatever else. He loses his fucking mind. He thinks a monster's attacking him, but it really is just his fucking cat.
Yeah.
He takes it. He beats the shit out of it. He's still not sure what's going on. Brings it to the fucking bathroom. Fucking starts taking bites. Pukes into the toilet, flushes, evidence gone.
Right.
So that's where all the bites and the organs that are missing are
It
gone.
could be.
Drops the carcass into the fucking tub, cleans himself up, crawls back into bed, passes out.
The organs being gone is interesting because he.
I mean, not all, but partially.
But he must have had some reference for like there was supposed to be more here. Now it's gone.
I'm seeing a half cat in my mind.
It's kind of I guess you'd
Well,
have
kind
to.
of, yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
a gutted cat where
I've-
you see some of the limbs, but like the most of the innards are kind of hollowed out and
Right.
fucked up.
I just feel like in that condition, there's no way he would be able to have gotten rid of every bit of evidence that made it not him.
I
Yeah,
agree.
well,
I mean,
I
it's just
agree
not-
with that completely,
Fucking
Chris.
way,
I
right?
do
Like,
agree as well, but I'm saying what could
We have to throw it up.
realistically-
So
yeah,
saying that
possibility.
and saying that none of us think that really fully covers it.
Yeah.
I think we can just table that for now
Totally. So that's going to be boop over
and
there.
move on to other things that could be possibly happening here.
All right. So I think again maybe definitely. No, I was gonna say maybe it was some kind of like creature that came in. He was all fucked up and he just like mistook it for something. But
What about if something?
A possum's not gonna do that. A raccoon's not
Right.
gonna do that.
I mean, we can go for the old mangy possum, mangy raccoon.
They wouldn't eat a cat though. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't eat a cat.
I don't think a
I mean,
raccoon would.
maybe if it was like a
I wouldn't
wolver-
trust a possum not to eat
So,
fucking a
but-
raccoon.
Pretty sure that they're not carnivores. Maybe like a wolverine, random wolverine.
I don't know. The northeastern
You know,
wolverine
I
is
mean-
not a common species.
No, definitely not. I mean, this thing clearly traveled on a train.
Okay,
It
so
came from
animal is
places.
something else we have to throw in
Possibility of an animal, but
there. A
not.
diseased animal and a drug-addled mind creates a monster.
So
One that could possibly kill a cat.
Are we
Yeah.
assuming that the cat thing happened before or after the 40s
Here's my assumption.
maneuver?
My assumption is, Chris, and that's an excellent question, because the first time Johnny saw the thing, it was darting out of the bathroom and behind the laundry pile.
Yeah.
He was in the bathroom already eating the cat. Heard some noise.
Okay.
Comes in,
dude.
pops Black Sabbath in, or fucking
No, that makes
Boston,
sense.
or whatever
Yeah.
soothing sounds he wants in the late 70s to drift off
Yes.
to sleep to,
Boston.
and fucking lays in the bed. This spring squeak, the whole 9 yards, and this thing is startled, like it's half finished with its meal, and so it's sneaking out and it wants to come out whatever way it came in. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know
what I assume too,
what
but-
it is.
Yeah,
But
okay.
that's my
Make sure-
assumption. There's no way of knowing.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe this thing is just some weird unknown little husky, oily carnivore. I guess pseudo-human, sort of has.
Yeah, but then how does it bamf out of a comforter?
Yeah, exactly.
The BAMF thing is the hardest
that's
part.
the,
Thank you for the
disappearing.
X-Men reference.
Yeah.
It's always a BAMF.
Oh, yeah, it's always a
How
BAMF.
does it BAMF?
The Nightcrawler BAMF. Oh, my God, we should have called it the Nightcrawler.
Oh.
Well, that just would have been ripping off things.
Yeah, no.
It's the fucking
So what? I
Cellar
mean,
creeper.
it's asking for it.
Yeah, it's true. But it BAMFed like a motherfucker.
Yeah, or when he's hitting it, if it just slid out and it escaped.
And scurried away.
He is in the basement. If there is a sewer drain, this thing would have access to come in and out, or better yet, if the foundation, if it could come through a window, if part of the foundation
That's the
was
thing. We
collapsed.
don't know how shitty this basement is.
Yeah.
Are there cracks galore? And
yeah,
plumbing
those little
pipes
shit
and,
windows
Yeah,
and
shit
Yeah,
windows.
just things are coming. You
that
got
are
like
cracked
raccoons.
open.
Yeah, things are coming
Things that can crawl in and out, and it just didn't know where to
partying.
go, and then it just managed to sneak out the way
Yeah.
it came after it got a serious beat down.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like I said, maybe it got out of the comforter and did that. Which, if you're talking more like not like a Damone,
So that's also
I
one
don't
we
even
can
know
put in the prosaic
how
file
that would
of
be.
a wild, maybe slightly mangy, maybe even rabid animal
Right.
that somehow looked humanoid enough, but he seemed to get a really good look at it. And let's all remember, he turned on his
bipedal.
bedside light. He saw it.
And it said
It wasn't like dark and he was seeing things only
Yeah.
silhouetted.
Yeah.
Once it was on his bed, he was looking at this thing, oily face to fucking face.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oily
too oily.
sloth.
They're probably both oily faced. He's a teenager, but fucking
Just
still.
a weird, aggressive, oily sloth. Just like, hey, you guys.
Hormones raging.
Fucking just trying to bite you. All right, so paranormally speaking, I mean, if what the Reverend is to be believed here that this kid was doing, whatever drugs, tripping balls, and going beyond space and time.
Never
and
says tripping, though.
the edges
we
of,
really have to make sure that's clear.
the edges of our reality due to illicit drug use, and he came in contact with some real aggressive.
So what it seems like he's suggesting is that he saw maybe one of the wee folk, one of the fae, a creature from another world, but like a goblin or a pixie or a fucked up gnome. That was like fucking. That is one of those things that exists in the natural world, but not to our obvious, not to our scientific instruments or our senses as they are unenhanced by drugs.
Yeah. Oh, I like that idea.
So it's a possibility, and a fucked up one. Maybe an escaped fucking con. Who knows?
Dude, he was fucking knocking on Magonia's door.
There's got to be
Think
some
about it.
criminal and fucking criminally insane fucking fae that they have to like leave away that aren't normal. Now,
They're locked up in the
They
Fae
get
prison.
banished to our realm.
oh, could you
It's like
like
Highlander
that, all
to
right.
the director's cut. Where they just get
Highlander
banished.
to the director's cut. Also, to me, back to The Outer Limits, one of my favorite shows because it always had a monster every week on like fucking Twilight Zone, and the Xanti Misfits. Do you remember those weird hornet brown shit bugs? Even though it was black and white, so you can't really tell. With human faces, and they invade this southern town. And they're fucking shit up and they're biting people, and it was a terrifying episode. And the government killed them. And what we found out later was that they were from a society. These were like they're criminally insane, irredeemable, fucking the monsters of their society.
Oh.
And because they were above corporal punishment, capital punishment, they don't fucking kill or hurt. They sent them to Earth because they knew we would. So once they start killing
Yeah, see?
people,
Wow.
the human beings went back and fucking killed the fuck out of these aliens, and then they were thanked later by the high order of the Xantis because these were the Xanti
yeah, that makes
misfits.
sense.
Okay.
So what if what capital punishment is for some very highly egalitarian, sophisticated fae folk is to send they're just incorrigible criminals here because a random teenager who's high as fuck is going to beat you to death in a blanket.
Yeah.
And then you
could be.
disappear when
They
you die.
They
you
just
poof,
They
bam.
they set him up in this situation. Where they're
It's a
like,
possibility.
Here's the deal.
Right. Maybe these things are like predators too. Maybe they just come to Earth.
Oh, to eat.
I mean, it cloaked, so he thought he had it, but he really didn't.
Oh, yeah.
He made some.
Keep going.
I don't know.
Maybe they have to
speaking my
uncloak the
language.
I am.
Now, come on, bring it.
It had to decloak to eat the cat. Didn't expect the kid to show up. Thought it was running out invisible. Forgot. Oh no, there it is in all God's glory. I mean, the devil's glory. Fucking nude and greasy and fucking weird.
Yeah.
And it was seen. But let's not fully take the cryptozoological off the table.
Okay.
Let's talk about. I don't know where in the Northeast it is. We live in the fucking Northeast, and it's not exactly fucking super rural and
Yeah.
fucking
no,
whatever.
it's a sizable region.
But what if we're dealing with I don't know, some sort of like offshoot troglodyte, some sort of proto-human. And much like Homo floresiensis, this thing became small because it was living in an isolated area, say the sewers. So insular dwarfism occurs because, you only have so many resources. On the island of Flores, the elephants got smaller, the human beings got smaller, but the monitor lizards got fucking Komodo big. Certain things get bigger, certain things get smaller, and to survive in the sewers, these fucking proto-humans, not entirely unlike the legends of the Native Americans that were surrounding the area of the Cabbagetown Tunnel Monster, which was an intelligent, hominoid, maybe hominid species that spoke to a dude, but still looked ape-like and lived underground and, was diminutive.
Yep.
Something along those lines that maybe just occasionally comes up to hunt, doesn't fuck with humans because by and large we're batshit crazy and fucking we'll put you in a fucking blanket and fucking end you.
Yeah.
And it just wanted to eat a fucking cat, do its thing. Maybe listen to some sweet tunes. Maybe it saw you had the new Kansas album and they're like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this."
That was probably it. It is just
fucking
weird that
REO Speed Dragon.
It killed it like it's in the. You think if it would come up to be just, unless it just loves cats. I mean, there's squirrels, rabbits.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of wild shit that it could go. But
could have been chasing it from the woods.
I mean,
and it could have been. Ducked in the
like,
basement window, and it's like, fuck it, easy food. Just dove in, took the chance.
Fox will definitely eat cats for sure.
Yeah, but it's not a fox.
No.
Of all the things it could be.
No.
I'll give you the raccoons, the squirrels.
But yeah, those animals definitely are not carnivores. They won't.
They're more scavenging.
Yeah, they don't eat. I mean, carnivore-wise, anything that size, I guess. I mean, wolf. I don't even know if a wolf. Yeah, I mean, maybe a wolverine. But
well, what if it's a mutant too?
Oh, they're rarely seen mutants.
What if it's like again, insular dwarfism troglodyte, fucking offshoot that lives in the sewers, but unlike its bilateral symmetry laden siblings where they look normal, well, for little tiny hairy dark things that fucking are, we don't even know how tall. We don't know if it's a foot and a half, a foot, 2 feet.
Yeah,
we don't know, but whatever,
right.
Small. Maybe this guy's just fucked up, like, fucking the same things that made the fucking alligators, big and white allegedly in the, the sewers of New York City. Maybe just the chemicals, the offshoot, the pollutants, the fucking toxins fucked this guy up, Love Canal style, and he no longer had the rationale to just eat woodland critters and stay fucking anonymous.
Nah, man, he went.
I mean,
fucking,
it could be.
He went urban.
But then, like,
cats.
when he said he captured it, did he really not?
Yeah, that's true. Then you got to get back to the bamfining.
Yeah.
How did it disappear from the fucking thing? Unless, of course, this guy's all fucked up, drugged, he's exhausted, it collapses on the floor, he collapses. When he's collapsing, the thing scurries out, hides under his bed, and makes its escape.
I mean, it could be, but he did it like several times, and he swears that it was
heavy and dense
every time.
But once he let it go on the floor, then it was no longer twisted, and its outlet was there if it could escape.
I mean, if it did just disappear like that, then that would obviously maybe lean more towards paranormal. Maybe some sort of maybe fae, or maybe honestly, man, demons
or a demon.
Never take the demons.
I'm shocked that the paranormal pastor. His first instinct is not a Judeo-Christian framework.
No, he's like, he did
where
drugs.
There's angels, demons. Yeah. Most Christians ignore even the idea of jinns and other things that are even mentioned in the Bible. And he's like, he didn't jump right to that.
Right.
He was more open to this idea of these like ethereal, but still corporeal.
Yeah.
Fucking what's it?
I think he's just using alternate words, but means the same.
You might be right.
Yeah.
You might be right.
I just get that
I'm reading a lot in.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, actually, this entire ending here, it reminds me of a story that I was actually going to bring to Patreon, but I did a little bit of digging. Turns out it was a spoof. And it says Aaron Rodgers is seeing the Hat Man since he had like an ayahuasca trip.
Oh, boy.
And it's not, I looked into the article because I saw a bunch of people posted it, and I'm like, oh, this could be great for Patreon, football and ayahuasca and fucking the Hat Man and Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this website's not real. Yeah, it's such a bummer though, because it would have been a fucking great story.
But one last thing that it just occurs to me, speaking of like hallucinogenic trips and the entities that you might see there, you have to think of DMT and the motherfucking machine elves.
The mechanical elves, yeah.
And these things that seem to be seen. Again, I've never done it. None of us have.
No.
And it's something that we really probably should do a super deep dive on. I've got a bunch of research I've collected, but I've never really done the work yet. What if this is something like, what if this is like a white trash machine elf? Like, not the kind of like highly efficient fucking working the geometry motherfuckers that, you know, the triangle heads that people see, but like just a whole other thing that'll eat the fuck out of your cat, fucking hide behind your laundry, fuck around. And you just have to fucking deal with it. And you only saw it because he was just high as fuck. And once maybe he sobered up, as anyone would from the terror, it was able to like, teleport to whatever its natural dimension is.
It's the fucking Rob Zombie fucking DMT elves. There you go. Just
who
hanging out,
fucking
trashing
knows?
it up. Yeah.
They're the sect that's at war with the normal ones. Like in that land.
Yeah, dude.
Because it's like elves, high elves, dark elves.
Right.
There's all different kinds.
Oh, and these are the fucking scummy sewer elves that eat cats.
Okay.
That could be it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deny it.
I said okay.
Yeah, cool.
What do you want from me?
I don't know. I wasn't sure. I don't know if I was in the right path or not. I was hoping I was along your same fucking trajectory.
You're on the path that you need to be on.
But here's the other thing that we really need to discuss, and this is simply it. All right, so if it ate his cat, that's fucked up.
Right.
But animals eat animals, and who the fuck knows how advanced this thing is. Did it really attack him? It ran out of the bathroom scared. It ran back and forth in the shadows of his room looking for an escape. Couldn't find it.
Right.
Approached him. Sure, we read it as creepily as it was written. One hand, two hands. It crawls up. It's got a lopsided grin.
Could have been
weird
much
eyes.
Yes.
And it walked on his belly.
Well,
Could it have been something that was trying to communicate with him? Like, all right, dude, in my way. No, just hear me out. Like,
no, it's possible.
I need to get out of this house. I don't want to fuck with you. You're literally 7 times my size, if not more. Fucking, I just need to do. But his instant reaction, understandably, when you see this thing that's lopsided grinning with giant teeth for its fucking weird tiny mouth and eyes that are fucking misshapen and fucking all over the place and ears that are up and down on the side and big oily mounds of hair. And so he understandably gets paranoid and freaks out, but he wasn't attacked. Like the nails might have dug into his belly a little, but he wasn't shredding at him like a fucking velociraptor.
Well, yeah, he doesn't know the intent.
He wasn't gnawing at his neck.
Right.
He wasn't coming at him fucking claws fucking out Wolverine style. So maybe we're assuming a lot of things just because it's ugly.
Well, for sure.
But do you make that?
I still have to do what
Everybody
Johnny did.
Yeah, no one's going to stop and be like, let me think about this. This possibly could be good-natured.
No,
just
you can't.
ugly on the outside, beautiful on the inside. Like, no one's going to do that. You're going to wrap this thing in a blanket and beat the piss out of it.
Or think that's what you did.
Or think
that's what you did.
Exactly, think that's what you did.
This is one time where I'm totally on the side of the stores and that fucking, you fucking beat first, ask questions later.
There's no other way. You have to do that.
And after you find your dead cat, you know you made the right decision.
Then you have to
because this thing is capable of killing, capable of eating flesh, and is clearly predatory, no matter what its origins.
Yeah, no, you can't take zero fucking chances. As Uncle Rob says, safety first, motherfuckers.
Indeed.
There you have it, the Carnivorous Cellar Creeper.
You totally went Valley Girl.
This thing is fucking gnarly. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Cryptonaut Podcast. We're on the social medias, Roberts and Christopher, the Instas and the Twitters and the
signed
Facebook.
up for Instagram. I put a photo on there.
You did? That's more than I ever did.
all I have now are Mark and I think and Peyton as friends or followees or follower. I follow them, but
I forgot you were on there.
And I'm not going to be there. My online presence is fucking.
You have like a really handsome profile picture.
Thank you,
Look
buddy.
at you.
I know. I'm
Damn,
the dapper Santa, the dark Santa.
The darkest of Santas. You got 23 followers so far, and you know what?
Hey.
I'm gonna do during our break here before Patreon. I'm gonna put up a thing being like, "Look who's on Instagram." On Instagram, you're gonna get a whole bunch of followers.
That's great. Please don't expect a lot of interaction from me. The main reason I did it is so that I can answer specific questions when I get there, and to respond to posts on Instagram where people say something interesting or ask a question.
Yeah.
And I think only maybe I'm the one that's equipped to answer it. So I wanted to be more interactive like that, but just don't get your expectations out of fucking hand.
Unfortunately, we can't get back to everybody. It's just how it ends up. There's so many requests and messages and DMs and things, but keep them coming. We try to get to them when we can.
Absolutely.
Again, the
I
Instas,
love
the
talking
Twitters,
to
and
you
the
fuckers.
Facebooks. Check all that out there. Hellerspace.com. We got some t-shirts over there for sale, random totes and whatnot. Patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. We actually, this last Patreon episode that we did the week prior here with Peyton with the Grunch Road monster was really cool. And there's actually a quote there's a comment here that I think I want to read to. This is definitely what I think helped promote Patreon and what we do over there.
Okay.
And this is from our patron, Kenny G, playing the world's longest note to pierce the veil and break Chris's mind.
Yes, I remember this person.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
yes. So they have this quote from Robert. We keep it super classy today. Mark, at the same time, my quote, we just got to develop a queef-powered drill and get back to making thousands of dollars, unquote. So there you go.
That sounds like something you would say.
That's pretty much.
That you clearly did.
Which you can hear more of that stuff over there at patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. And then we mentioned at the top of the show, youtube.com/Cryptonaut podcast. Check that out. We got some videos coming up over there. Definitely shoot us
definitely.
emails for things you want to have us check out and react to. Cryptonautpodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us there. Do it. And yeah, thank you all again for your continued weekly support, showing up every week here, listening to us talk about all this crazy fucking shit. And we appreciate it. And we'll be talking with you very soon.
Hell yeah.
Goodbye.
It is appreciated. Everything. The feedback, the love, the interactions. Thank you. Send us shit and we will talk about it on video.
100%.
And that'll be awesome.
There it is.
Thank you.
Peace.
God.
Goodbye.
Keep it real. Keep it in the basement.
Turn it off.
Keep it in the sack. Beat it on the concrete.
Or at least think you did.
Yeah.
Keep it in the sack. There it is.
Oh, this is literally the most American fucking paranormal story we could have done.
Honestly. It's
I'm
missing-
high as fuck. I'm drunk as fuck. I'm too young to be either. I'm still going to get up and work tomorrow. I'm going to beat the fuck out of this demon slash mutant slash fucking whatever in the meantime.
In my mind.
And it will haunt me. And it'll show up 3 more times, so it's clearly not dead. Or it's got siblings that are like, fucking, I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
We'll be talking to you.